Long ago, in the early days of Oria, the kingdom flourished under its ambitious first king. Yet, his reign was threatened by a beast of unimaginable power, a dragon with scales like burnished copper and a voice that echoed like thunder. In his arrogance, the king led an army against the creature, determined to claim dominion over every inch of his land. But the dragon was no ordinary beast. It rained fire upon his forces, reducing men and horses to ash. The king himself was brought to his knees before the mighty creature, his once golden armor blackened and charred. "Mercy," he whispered, his voice hoarse with fear. The dragon, ancient and wise, studied him. A kingdom that slaughters without provocation must pay a price. And so, a terrible bargain was struck. Every generation, 3 daughters of the royal bloodline would be given to the dragon as tribute. In return, Oria would be spared its wrath. Centuries later, in the far northern lands of Bayford, winter came early, as it often did. Snow blanketed the barren fields, and hunger gnawed at the people. Lord Bayford sat by the fire, his face lined with worry, while his eldest daughter, Elodie, Millie Bobby Brown, practiced sketching a new labyrinth design in her journal. The knock at the door was unexpected. A royal courier from Oria stood at the threshold, his cloak damp from the journey. He bowed deeply before delivering his message. Elodie of Bayford, Her Majesty Queen Isabel of Oria, Robin Wright, extends an offer of marriage. Prince Henry, Nick Robinson, seeks a bride. Lord Bayford's relief was palpable. Their stores were nearly empty, their people barely surviving. "Say yes," he urged, his voice laced with desperation. "This union could save us." Elodie hesitated. She had dreamt of adventure, of seeing the world beyond Bayford's icy reaches. Marriage to a stranger had never been part of that vision, but duty came first. With a measured breath, she nodded. "I accept." The journey to Oria took weeks, their carriages laden with the last of Bayford's treasures. Elodie, her father, her stepmother Lady Bayford, Angela Bassett, and her younger sister Floria, Brooke Carter, marveled at the splendor of their new home. Oria was a city of gold and marble, its streets lined with banners celebrating the upcoming wedding. Yet, beneath the grandeur, unease stirred. That night, from the balcony of her chambers, Elodie spotted something unusual, a fire flickering atop a distant mountain. A beacon or something else? At court, the queen's welcome was cold. She barely acknowledged Elodie, referring to her as Eloise instead of her true name. "You will make a fine addition to our lineage," Isabel said, sipping her wine. "Oria rewards its allies well." Meanwhile, Lord Bayford met with the queen in private. When he emerged, his hands trembled, his face ghostly pale. "We have everything we need," he muttered, though Lady Bayford could see something unsettled him. Elodie was too preoccupied to notice. That evening, she and Henry shared their first conversation, an awkward but revealing exchange. "Do you wish to marry me?" she asked him bluntly. Henry hesitated. "It is expected of me, but I do not wish you harm." His words struck her as oddly specific. The wedding was a grand affair. As tradition dictated, a sacred ritual followed. Elodie, now Princess of Oria, was escorted to the mountain for a ceremonial offering to honor the ancestors. Queen Isabel spoke of their kingdom's history, how the first king had made a fateful decision to protect his people. "We do this to uphold our legacy," she declared. A priest cut Elodie's palm, then Henry's. Their blood mingled as they clasped hands. Then Henry carried her to a narrow bridge spanning a dark abyss. "Elodie," he whispered, a flicker of regret in his eyes. Then, without warning, he hurled her into the darkness below. Elodie awoke to silence. Then, a deep rumbling filled the cavern. The dragon emerged from the shadows, its golden eyes locking onto her. "Another sacrifice," it mused. "How many more will they send?" As Elodie scrambled for safety, she stumbled upon the remains of past victims. Rusted jewelry, shredded gowns. The realization struck her like ice. She was not the first. Using her wits, she found a hidden cave lined with bioluminescent slugs. Their glow revealed carvings on the walls. A map, names etched in sorrow. Beatrice, Victoria, Artemis, Genevieve, Fatima, Carlotta. The slug's light healed her wounds as she rested. The next day, she followed the map, seeking escape. Meanwhile, guilt consumed Lord Bayford. "I sold my daughter for gold," he confessed to Lady Bayford. "I thought I could live with it." But he couldn't. He rallied his remaining men for a rescue, unaware that his decision would lead them to their deaths. Elodie discovered the skeletons of dragon hatchlings, finally understanding the truth. The first king had slaughtered the dragon's young. It was vengeance, not hunger, that fueled the beast's demands. Lord Bayford's rescue attempt ended in disaster. The dragon incinerated his men, his final words to Elodie filled with remorse. "I am sorry," he whispered as the flames consumed him. Elodie barely escaped, fleeing through the mountains. Back in the palace, Queen Isabel, realizing the sacrifice had failed, ordered Floria to take Elodie's place. Lady Bayford, horrified, rode out to warn her stepdaughter. Elodie returned to the mountain, determined to save Floria. She faced the dragon once more, this time armed with knowledge. "You were deceived," she told the beast. "The blood of the sacrifices is mixed with the Orian line. They are not true princesses." The dragon roared, unwilling to listen. They clashed, fire against wit, until Elodie, in a desperate move, tricked the beast into spewing flames onto a reflective rock, burning itself. With the dragon weakened, she spoke the truth. "You have killed the innocent, just as the first king did." A moment of silence. Then something changed. Elodie used the glowing slugs to heal them both. A bond was formed. Elodie returned to the palace just as another wedding was taking place, another sacrifice in waiting. She stopped the ceremony and exposed Oria's centuries of deceit. Then the dragon arrived. Fire engulfed the palace. The royal family perished in the inferno, their sins cleansed in flame. Days later, Elodie, Floria, and Lady Bayford sailed home, their ship laden with supplies. Above them, the dragon soared, finally free of its chains. The cycle had ended. Damsel, 2024, is a thrilling subversion of classic fairy tale tropes, transforming the traditional damsel in distress narrative into an empowering survival story filled with intrigue, betrayal, and resilience. Directed with a keen sense of pacing and first king, whose folly and arrogance led to a pact with a fearsome dragon. Centuries later, Elodie, an unsuspecting noblewoman, is thrust into this dark legacy when she is chosen as a royal bride, only to realize that her marriage is a ruse to sacrifice her to the dragon. What follows is a harrowing journey of survival and revelation. The pacing is expertly handled, balancing moments of quiet tension with heart-pounding action. The film does an excellent job of gradually revealing the truth behind Oria's traditions, leading to a satisfying climax where Elodie takes control of her fate and exposes the kingdom's dark secrets. Elodie, played brilliantly by Millie Bobby Brown, is the heart of the film. Unlike the passive princesses of traditional fairy tales, she is resourceful, intelligent, and determined. From the start, she exhibits a strong sense of duty to her family, but as the story unfolds, she realizes that true duty lies in breaking the cycle of injustice. The film also gives complexity to supporting characters. Queen Isabel, Robin Wright, serves as a chilling antagonist, embodying the ruthlessness of royalty willing to uphold a barbaric tradition for power. Prince Henry, Nick Robinson, is a tragic figure, bound by his family's sins, yet ultimately weak-willed in the face of true morality. Lady Bayford, Angela Bassett, brings a necessary maternal presence, her growing horror at the kingdom's cruelty adding emotional weight to the narrative. Floria, Elodie's younger sister, serves as both motivation and an emotional anchor, reinforcing the stakes of Elodie's fight for justice. Damsel is rich with themes of sacrifice, power, and the rewriting of history. It critiques the notion that history is always told by the victors, showing how Oria's rulers have twisted the truth to justify their atrocities. The dragon itself is not a mere monster, but a tragic figure, manipulated into believing it is enacting justice when in reality it is perpetuating the very cycle of violence that began with the healing agent is a subtle yet powerful symbol, representing both renewal and the possibility of breaking free from a destructive past. Elodie's final act of healing, rather than killing the dragon, cements her as a true hero, not through conquest, but through understanding. Damsel, 2024, is a visually stunning and emotionally resonant film that reinvents the fantasy genre. It delivers a compelling mix of action, mystery, and strong character arcs. With breathtaking cinematography, a sharp script, and standout performances, Damsel is a must-watch for audiences who crave intelligent, subversive storytelling.